In the 1980s, status worked like a background check. If you saw someone wearing a Patek Philippe or driving a Ferrari, it was a reliable data point. It meant they had the market, climbed the hierarchy, and accumulated capital that was inaccessible to most people. Back then, you had to be rich to look rich. Today, that relationship is broken. Luxury has been mass-produced and sold back to us on a payment plan. We live in an era where the appearance of success is cheaper than ever, and that has quietly destroyed its value. In behavioral finance, this is known as the luxury illusion. It's the systematic devaluing of status symbols in a world where the signal can be copied, financed, or counterfeited. While the top 0.1% quietly move toward invisible assets and private lives, the middle class is being pulled into what I'll call signaling debt, buying depreciating goods to project a net worth they haven't yet achieved. This isn't about taste. It's not about hating nice things. It's about a trade most people don't realize they're making. Because in the age of social media, the return on status has collapsed. You are paying a premium for a signal everyone else is now faking. You are sacrificing future liquidity for a brief moment of perceived importance. This isn't just a bad purchase. It's a bad trade. Luxury used to be protected by friction. If you couldn't afford the bag in full, you didn't get the bag. That friction preserved the signal. But the modern economy hates friction. Enter, buy now, pay later. Fintech companies realize something critical. If you break a $3,000 liability into 12 manageable payments, you bypass the brain's pain receptors for spending. Luxury stopped being a purchase. It became a subscription. When everyone can look wealthy for a few $100s a month, the logo loses its primary function. It no longer signals wealth. It signals leverage. This is the inflation of aesthetics. Just as printing more money devalues a currency, mass access to status items devalues the status itself. When a luxury belt shows up on a teenager at the mall, the billionaire in the boardroom quietly stops wearing it. This is known as signal dilution, and luxury brands are fully aware of it. Their real profits no longer come from the ultra-wealthy, who buy bespoke, unbranded goods. They come from the aspirational class, entry-level luxury, branded t-shirts, plastic-coated canvas bags, keychains, high margin, low durability, maximum visibility. These products aren't designed to build wealth. They're designed to create emotional buy-in. The moment you leave the store, the item depreciates, financially and socially. And every time someone else buys the same thing on credit, your signal weakens further. You're funding their dividends with your active income. This is not ownership. It's participation in a status arms race where the only winner is the conglomerate. The most successful trick the luxury industry ever pulled was convincing us that their prices are high because the goods are rare. In a traditional market, if demand goes up, the company makes more products to make more money. But luxury doesn't operate in a traditional market. It operates in a Veblen market. In a Veblen market, the company does the opposite. They intentionally starve the market. Take the Birkin bag, or a stainless steel Rolex. These aren't made of mythical materials. They are high-quality leather and steel, yes, but their price isn't tied to the cost of materials. It's tied to gatekeeping. Luxury brands manufacture artificial scarcity. They create waiting lists not because they can't make enough watches, but because the wait itself is the product. When you finally get the call, your brain doesn't process it as a purchase. It processes it as a victory. You feel chosen. You aren't paying for craftsmanship. You are paying for exclusion. The industry calls this brand heat. If everyone can buy it, the heat dies. So they force you to play games. To buy a $15,000 bag, some brands require you to spend $10,000 on entry-level scarves and perfumes first, just to build a relationship. Think about that from an audit perspective. You are literally paying a tax for the permission to spend more money later. This is a psychological masterclass in sunk cost fallacy. By the time you finally get the item, you are so deep into the investment that rational valuation disappears. To keep the luxury illusion alive, brands now lean into the most dangerous narrative of all. This isn't an expense. It's an investment. Here's the hidden outcome. Most people who buy investment luxury never sell. And even when they do, the gray market is volatile. When you buy a stock, it pays a dividend. When you buy a luxury investment, it requires insurance, climate-controlled storage, and constant fear of a scratch. One is an asset that works for you. The other is a liability that you work to protect. The industry wants you to believe you are a collector. In reality, you are just a liquidity provider for their brand equity. There's a quiet rule in wealth psychology. The louder the signal, the more desperate the sender. This isn't judgment. It's economics. In markets, this is called asymmetric information. People with real leverage don't need external validation. Their bank balance is the only signal that matters. That's why the ultra-wealthy are moving toward what's now called quiet luxury. No logos, no explanation, recognizable only to others in the same tax bracket. These are private signals. On the opposite end is what I'll call loud poverty. Not poverty of income, but poverty of margin. The almost rich. The stretched professional. The high achiever allocating most of their disposable income to visibility instead of durability. They optimize for noise. The wealthy optimize for silence. One lifestyle is asset-heavy. The other is liability-heavy performance. And when you prioritize visibility, you pay a status tax. Higher expectations, more pressure, constant upgrades just to stay in place. This is hedonic adaptation. Loud signals put you on a treadmill, and the faster you run, the more expensive it becomes to stand still. True success is the ability to be invisible. Privacy is the ultimate luxury. And it's the first thing most people trade away. To understand why we can't stop at just one luxury purchase, we have to go back to 1765 and the French philosopher Denis Diderot. Diderot lived a life of intellectual wealth but material modesty. That changed when he was gifted a beautiful scarlet silk robe. It was, by all accounts, a masterpiece of craftsmanship. But the moment he put it on, a hidden outcome began to unfold. Diderot noticed that his old wooden chair looked pathetic next to the silk of his robe. So he bought a new leather armchair. But now his desk looked out of place. So he replaced it with a costly mahogany one. Then the curtains. Then the clocks. Then the rugs. In his famous essay, Regrets on Parting with My Old Dressing Gown, he wrote, "I was absolute master of my old robe. I have become a slave to my new one." In modern behavioral finance, this is known as the Diderot effect. It's the phenomenon where introducing a single possession that exceeds your existing standard forces everything else to upgrade to match. This is the engine of the luxury illusion. Brands don't want to sell you a watch. They want to sell you the requirement for the rest of the life that fits the watch. When you buy a luxury SUV, you aren't just paying for the car. You are subconsciously signaling to your brain that your old luggage is too cheap for the trunk, that your neighborhood doesn't match the driveway, that your casual clothes don't belong in the interior. The Diderot effect turns a single purchase into a systemic liability. You aren't just upgrading a product. You are upgrading your cost of living across every category. The industry counts on this. They know that if they can get you to buy the entry-level scarlet robe, the wallet, the belt, the keychain, you will feel the psychological friction of your own non-luxury life. You will spend years trying to make the rest of your world match that one signal. You aren't buying things to make yourself happy. You are buying things to resolve the inconsistency the first luxury item created. Let's slow this down. Most people look at the price tag and stop there. A $2,500 watch. A $3,000 bag. I have the money, they think. I can afford it. But in an audit, that isn't the price. That's the entry fee. The real cost is opportunity. If a 25-year-old invests $2,500 into a low-cost index fund averaging 7% annually, that money doubles roughly every 10 years. By retirement, that single purchase becomes over $38,000. You're not buying a bag. You're selling $35,000 of future liquidity. You're trading long-term freedom for short-term validation. And it doesn't stop there. Luxury carries maintenance debt, specialized repairs, professional cleaning, status-compatible social circles, expensive restaurants, specific travel destinations, unspoken expectations. This is lifestyle inflation by 1,000 cuts. In finance, we measure returns using IRR, internal rate of return. The IRR on most luxury items is negative. They depreciate immediately. They cost money to maintain. And they prevent capital from compounding. Buying into the luxury illusion is effectively a high-interest loan against your future self. A poverty tax disguised as success. True wealth is built on the spread, the gap between what you earn and what you spend. When you narrow that spread for appearances, you extend your sentence in the workforce. You stay in the cage longer, just to decorate it. Let me pause here, because this is where most people misunderstand the argument. Luxury isn't the enemy. The illusion is. This isn't about rejecting quality. It's about rejecting marketing narratives that turn consumers into performers. The most financially secure people follow a different rule. Buy for utility, not narrative. Buy the car because it's reliable. Buy the coat because it's durable. But the moment you're paying a 400% markup for a name stitched into the collar, stop. You are no longer a customer. You are a target. Real success isn't what you can maintain. It's what you can walk away from. It's the ability to leave a job you hate. Say no to environments that drain you. Exit games that have no finish line. Wealth is what you don't see. The car's not leased. The flex is not posted. The money left untouched to compound quietly. That is optionality. And optionality is the only asset that buys time. The world wants you chasing the signal. Because someone trying to look rich is easy to control. They're tied to payments, locked into appearances, afraid to slow down. Today, run the audit on your own life. Look at what you own and ask, did I buy this for me or for them? If the answer is them, you found the first lead in your investigation. Stop decorating the cage. Start building the exit. Because at the end of the day, the only status symbol that never depreciates is your time. This has been an audit of the luxury illusion. If you're ready to see the outcomes others miss, subscribe. Welcome to the side of the trade that actually wins. If you've made it this far, you've realized that luxury is often just a high-interest loan against your future freedom. But the luxury illusion is only one side of the trade. The most dangerous companion to signaling debt isn't just what you spend, it's the career ambition you sacrifice to maintain it. In my previous audit, we broke down why the corporate ladder is often a treadmill in disguise, and how the pursuit of the next title can actually rob you of the very life you're trying to build. If you're ready to see how your career goals might be working against your financial sovereignty, watch the audit on career ambition right here. I'll see you in the next investigation.